Hello, if you have just seen my line graph, I'm going to do a continuation and some more graphics you can do. So I've covered some of the basics. Again, it's not everything you can do with line graphs because, well, in Excel, it's almost unlimited, the things you could do, right? So I'm trying to do it in like small batches. Okay, so let's move this line graph out of the way for a second. Okay, I'm going to show you a few other different types of graphs, okay? So the most common ones are like line graphs, column charts, and those are the ones, and scatter plots maybe, right? But column charts and line charts are really the ones you should stick with when you're getting started. The problem most people have, or the mistake they make, is they start doing 3D graphs, they start doing stacked area charts, 100% stacks, and they don't really know what it means. And so sometimes I'm in presentations or meetings, and some of these younger guys, and sometimes the older guys too, and girls, right? They'll bring in these graphics, and from a data visualization point of view, it doesn't actually add any value. So just keep it simple, don't get fancy, and just show a really simple graphical story, okay? So let's do some bar charts. So I'm going to go into Insert, into the Chart section. I'm going to go Column Chart, and let's just do a standard column chart. So again, I'm going to select my data. I'm not going to go into too much detail of this part because I covered it in the last video. I'm going to do cat food. All right, these values right here. And I'm also going to add dog food, like so. Go OK. And I'm going to add the date. All right, so that's how easy it is. And you can add as many series as you want, okay? You can do that. Right, now, this is one type of column chart. I can also do stacked so that the oranges are on top of the blues, so I can see the total value. Because right now I have to add it. If this is like 185 or something plus 100, I have to calculate that. For more complicated numbers, I'm not that good, right? So I'm going to change this to a stacked chart. I could do it again from scratch, or I can just go to Design and click on Change Chart Type. Because I've already loaded up the data, I don't really have to change it. So I can come in here, Column, and change it to the stacked. And it gives me a preview of what it looks like. So I go OK. There we go. Now we got a stacked one. Let's change another one. You can also see the 100% one. Now what this does is it shows you how it's distributed. So for example, I'm going to pick an easy number here. The 200. Okay. What this is going to show me is, as a percentage, how much does this one make up the total value, right? And my guess is, let's say this is $50. This represents 25% of the total for that period. And that can be very, very useful in a lot of cases. So in my line of work, sometimes it's you're determining how long certain programs run. So let's say I've got 10 programs running, and on a daily basis, the total runtime may change. But in terms of where are we spending the most of our time, a stack chart is perfect because it says, oh, we're spending 80% of our time on this one program. It's like, all right, let's reduce that one. So it helps me find problems very easily. Okay, let's move this over. So I'm going to go OK. All right, and you can see it there. And what I'm also going to add is what's called data labels. So if I select one of these entries, right, just right click, I go data labels. It's actually going to add what the value is, which is pretty cool. But you can do it series by series. So I'm going to go here. I'm going to add the data label for that one too. And now I've got the value. So pretty cool. Let's go back to the change chart type. Let's look at the other ones. Let's go columns. Okay. Now these ones right here are pretty much the same as the first three, except they're in 3D. And again, I highly discourage the use of 3D graphics. Like, I honestly don't even know why they're here. Excel, if you're listening, if you're a person in a basement in Microsoft somewhere, get rid of 3D graphics. They're absolutely pointless. They don't do anything. In fact, they cause more problems than they solve. Because, for example, let's say I'm going to do a three-dimensional one, okay? And I get rid of these data labels, okay? So just select them and delete. This orange one, I have no idea what that value is. I'd be guessing. Right? This one right here, I have no idea what the value is. So if I'm a senior executive and I'm given something like this, I can't make a call on this because right now here, this may be $59. But in some cases, that may be $59 million, right? In my line of work, sometimes we're throwing around that kind of money. If I'm trying to figure out for all the software development projects we're doing for the first quarter, we're throwing around about $500,000. and the analyst goes to me, here's the distribution of funds. I'm like, get out, do it again, get rid of the 3D graphs, right? Because I'm going to make a mistake if you give me these kinds of results. Okay, so sorry to go off on a tangent there, but I'm pretty passionate about this stuff. Okay, so we can do that. We can also change it to different kinds of line graphs, right? You can have, again, the stacked lines, similar to how the columns work. You can have the same lines, but with markers on them, so the little dots on where they are. This is really useful if you have a lot of entries and your lines are quite smooth. You can actually, the dots will tell you how many entries you've got, which is pretty cool. All right, we can do pie graphs, right? Also, another thing, pie graphs, forget about them, don't use them. They're rubbish 95% of the time, because the problem with pie graphs, if you only have 2 values, great. Okay, sometimes it's okay. But let's say you had a pie graph and one value was like 49%, one was 51%. It's hard to distinguish it's actually different. And again, 1% could be a big deal depending on what you're doing. When we do system checks to evaluate the accuracy of some of our results, 99.9% is actually quite low, right? Because if you're dealing with 1 million data sets, 0.1% is a lot of errors. Okay, so you have to keep that into context. So again, if you can solve it with a column graph or a line graph, then just do that. Okay, bar graphs are basically just horizontal column charts, so nothing to cover there. Area charts are line graphs, but the bottom, like underneath it, has been colored in. The one I particularly like is the stacked area. Okay, so if I go here, I'm going to go OK. What this actually tells me is area charts are good for time-based information, and then I can actually see that here, this was our total value, okay? Because what you're doing is you're grabbing the value you spent in the orange, which I think was the cat food, and the value that you spent here, right, on this period, and you're putting them on top of one another. You're stacking them. So that I can see that, okay, for February, we spent $200, okay? And again, you can have stacked areas, you can have, stacked 100%, lots of things you can do. Okay, let's see what else we can do. XY scatters. XY scatter is a little bit different, so I'm going to cover that in a different video. And the rest of these I wouldn't use just yet. They're a little bit more advanced. My problem with a lot of these kind of advanced graphics is once you get to the stage where you're trying to represent more complicated information, okay, it's time to get out of Excel. That's the time you start moving into BI tools. You're talking about your Power BIs, your ClickView, your Alteryx, your Tableaus. Your Tableau is like my favorite to use, but obviously it's not like I'm only going to use that, right? You use the best tool for whatever you're trying to solve, okay? But once you get to these more complicated ones, I encourage you to start looking into BI tools, okay? Which maybe I'll do some videos on that one day. All right, so I think that's it for this video. I'll cut it there, and I hope you enjoyed. And again, leave me some comments of what you think, or if you want me to teach you anything else or get into detail about certain things. All right, see you later. Enjoy. Have a nice day. Bye.